And so that was SPED file and the services file. I'll let Kyron take over and talk about post-secondary status.
Thank you, Nate. So aside from the SPED and SSRV file, if you are a K-12 district or charter school, it is expected or it is expected of you to at least report post-secondary status survey data for all of your 9 to 12 grade special ed students who no longer re-enrolled in this current academic year, who exited each year. So part of that process is to be able to determine who are these students. So there are two ways to do this. If you're enough to be able to generate the list of students who completed high school with any of these exit codes last academic year, who no longer re-enrolled in CalPAS or re-enrolled in any district, and also students who left your district last year, who never came back or does not have any re-enrollments in CalPAS, then you should be able to gather those students as your basis of who are special ed, who you could survey for the PSTS requirement. Okay, so again, the post-secondary status is just for us to be able to determine if who among the students who completed went on to be a college student or went on to go to the military, went on to work in different industries. So all of those things are gathered based on the questionnaire that you guys will be surveying. So it's if you've been doing CalPADS for quite some time now and you reported PSTS in fall 2, then you should be able to be acquainted with the same concepts and process. So that's on the SIS side. So let's say you don't have the capability to generate the student list from your SIS side, you could always go to the CalPAD side and run a specific report to be able to generate this student list. Once you have the list, you can then go ahead and send out a survey. There is a PSTS survey template guide that you could use and even just modify to be able to create your own template and send out to the students. So in the CalPAS user manual, if you go to the PSTS page, okay, so you can either just type PSTS and then just go to this part or click on this. It brings you to the post-secondary status. You could click on that and it brings you here. You could also go directly to functionality map, go to online maintenance, student maintenance, and you should see the post-secondary status details here. If you scroll to the end of year section, you would be able to determine the same need for the survey. So at the bottom of that, there is a template you could download, and then that template has a questionnaire, the questions, the fields, and also possible choices based on those questions. So you can send this out to all of those students who you may have determined to be qualified for this reporting, and then based on that, you should be able to get the results and then upload to CalPADS. Unlike the PSTS survey record in fall, PSTS survey for end of year 4 are, are stored or is stored in your special education system. So all three files for end of year 4, your SPED, your SSRV, and PSTS will all come from your SEDS software. So to get the list from CalPADS, you just have to go to ODS report 8.1a. You have to set the academic year to 2021-22, grade levels 12, and then the primary enrollment status should either be 10 or 30. And then the from and date and through date should be this 8/16 to 2021, 8/15 to 2022. So you have the exit reason here, which is E230. So you need to run this twice. First is run it for your completion result, completion students or completers, right? You have to choose E230 plus the prescribed completion status codes that was identified in the prior slide. Use the same from and through date, and then that should give you your list of students who exited based on a completion exit code. Now, the second time you run it, it's based on just exits. You have to filter based on the exit reason code, which is if the student was SARB, if they were a dropout, or they left, or went to a different country. So all those things are, these are the codes that you should use to be able to determine that second batch of students. Now, once you have the list, you could then survey them, and then these are the expected status codes that we'll be getting, or at least they will be picking from your survey. And these are the ones that we expect you to submit as part of the PSTS file in CalPADS. So the PSTS is for end of year. It's will come from your SEDS vendor. If your SEDS vendor has the ability to be able to submit multiple responses for the survey, then that would be good. Now, if not, then you can manually add those responses to CalPAD. So let's say if a student was in the military and also in college at the same time, then those are two responses. So you have to then be able to report that to CalPAD. That essentially is the part for PSTS. Do we have any questions here with regards to the PSTS reporting? What is the difference between Okay, thank you, Matt. Yeah. Okay, so that's the post-secondary status reporting part. Again, that's just for students grades 9 to 12 who either completed high school based on those completion codes or exited high school who and did not re-enroll in CalPADS. Okay. Okay, so I guess, yes, sir.
Rebecca, students with disabilities already completed the survey for fall 2. Can we use that data for end of year 4?
Yes, I mean, was the part of was the students, because fall 2 normally is focused on CTE completers. So if those students are essentially the same students and they were also CTE completers, then you could still use that subset of students and add it to the current survey results for the end of the year.
Just be sure that record is submitted for end of year 4. Don't take it for granted that if it's the same student, the information will be shared through CalPADS, because it won't. It will not be.
And so if you have this, since fall 2 resides in your SIS, you may want to communicate with your special ed folks. That way they could encode it in SACE or CIRUS for that matter.